The spooky movie genre has been trending in a direction that I can get excited for. Even Malignant, which I disliked, has me excited for movies coming in the near future. This trailer went viral on Twitter and people really wanted to see an AirBNB horror film. Well, we got it, and let's just say this is a unique entry into the horror genre. God, I hate that word.
Horror.
Go see this blind. Also, it's a great movie theater experience. I had a genuine urge to look away at times where nothing was even happening, so this is your warning. Barbarian is the first scary movie from Cregger, who is known for The Whitest Kids You Know.
Zach Cregger.
Well, what is this movie about? We follow two characters played by Georgina Campbell and Bill Skarsgård. You knew bro wasn't gonna make it in the movie long when he was casted. Rent and Airbnb at the same time. They find a secret dungeon in the basement and it escalates from there. Starting with anything but the performances would be stupid, specifically Georgina Campbell's. The writing in this first act is just so close to perfect for me. But I will have a nitpick section later because oh my god, do I have a lot of nitpicks. It's hard being the female protagonist in the horror genre, but with help from the writing, she portrays the smart, helpful, resourceful, and selfless woman well enough to buy. The camera work in this film is gorgeous and patient. Lots of simple stuff, but I love the transition into the title card. We get lots of one takes and a lot of creative POV shots that make you feel like you're in a video game. There are shots that are quick pans and to focus characters, and for a lot of the setting being in the dark, there aren't a lot of moments where I thought the scares were cheap. It was always my preferred method of madness, the long shot with suspense, where something just creeps into frame slowly. If you are looking for a film with effective scares, you'll mostly get it. Let's talk about the writing, because the first act I said was almost perfect. I think the dynamic between the two strangers meeting in the Airbnb was extremely accurate. I totally feel Bill Skarsgård's character, man. He's asking if she wants anything all the time.
You know, you might want some of this, but if I open it while you weren't here, I'm sorry, I'm rambling, Jesus Christ.
These are very real and authentic moments that if this situation were to ever occur, this is how it would go. They have a little fun night that gives you enough reason to believe that she would go chasing after this man in the dungeon. Come on, it's a scary movie, it's better than most in that department. The structure of this film is also so unique, initially giving me like Death Proof vibes, if you know what that means. There was one scene early on that I was very annoyed about, where this door that shuts automatically locks, and our main character knows this. Then later, she goes downstairs after Bill Skarsgård's character, and the door starts to shut, and then she catches it narrowly. I don't care that she caught it. The fact that she was even willing to leave this door alone angers me. Also, Bill Skarsgård's character really doesn't get the clear picture that our protagonist has laid out and wants to see it for himself. I thought there could have been a better way to get him down into the basement. Also, this guy gets so far down so quickly without making a peep.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
I am mostly on board with this film. It has this sort of energy shift between the very defined acts. The second act is legitimately hilarious. Even during the scares, I think people were still laughing. We follow Justin Long, the dude from Drag Me to Hell, struggle against sexual assault allegations, and finds a way into living into the house in question. His character is this greedy, luxurious, selfish landlord, but his performance is so funny. And not in a bad way, this is what the script wanted. When he first sees that there is a hidden door, he's just like, jackpot, more square footage, and there is no hesitancy at all to go down the dungeon. The third act gives us some backstory, then loops this all together and flows into a cohesive story with little to no plot holes. I will say, when the story gets going, it goes in a hurry. This to me is the most flawed act with a lot of silly moments that not even I can get behind. So let me get into the nitpick session. Okay, so the dungeon was started by this serial, you know, sussy guy that breeds with his victims and starts a long line of incest, eventually farming out a woman that is a supermom essentially, and all this mom wants to do is perform motherly duties on humans. The old sussy guy is living down there, but it doesn't look like he wants to live anymore because he's so old. But the mother is keeping him alive or something like that. Let's start from the top with all that knowledge. So we have our landlord at the house, and he thinks someone is living here, and it's all just so fishy to him, right? He finds our character's laptop and knows that no one has checked into the house in 5 weeks. When he opens the laptop and gets a name, he could have called and realized that the name he has now checked in last and never checked out. So you know it's probably not a squatter. She has a laptop. This doesn't give him any red flags. I know this character is kind of a joke, but come on. When the first two acts collide and the landlord and our chick meet, there's no reason for her to help besides just being a good person. I'm sorry, I would appreciate if scary movies had more selfish characters, and honestly, I would even consider this selfish. I'd understand her to have the urge to go back if Skarsgård's character was still alive, but she knows that's not true. There is this scene where our protagonist escapes and gets a hold of cops, and they don't believe her because she looks like a crackhead because, you know, she's been imprisoned. But come on, these cops can't be that bad. She's talking in a panic, but she's completely coherent, and when do crack addicts talk about being imprisoned? Maybe she could have demonstrated the details better to the officers, but with how dismissive they were, I don't see any evidence that would have been enough. So there is a local that knows about the incest mommy, and he says he has a safe spot and he hasn't been touched by the mommy in 15 years. He gives this line of dialogue, then gets clapped by, you guessed it, the mommy. I'm all for campy scenes, but this didn't even feel like it matched the tone of this film. We didn't need a deep blue sea moment. Also, the line of dialogue could have simply just been like, I've only been staying here for a few months. Why did it have to be 15 years? Also, after this scene, the landlord has a gun the entire time and he never thinks to use it until he climbs the top of this spiral structure. The protagonist has to remind the character that he has a gun, then juggles it off. Come on, man, the writing was so good for the first half of this film, then you have to just go down to these silly tropes. One last note here, the jump by the mommy, if you have seen the movie, is absolutely hilarious. Everyone bursted out in laughter. And this is the climax of your movie. Overall, I had a fun-ass theater experience, but if the third act was tightened up a bit, it'd probably be a 7. I also think it could have been a much more ambitious ending, but what do I know? A fun and solid 6 for me, and I'm still recommending you to go see it.